So I realized when I had these two poems, and I think they're going to make some people angry. And there's two groups, particularly. One is bikers, and the other is the Bush administration. So we'll see how that goes. This is called Psychosonic Breakdown. I'm trying to read, but there are engines flying through the air. The motors and exhaust pipes on a horizontal tear. The plumbing of internal combustion is so well exposed, and we are on the verge of a mechanical overdose. Would a muffler slow them down? The sound is loud as hell, accelerating late at night. I would prefer a church bell to a butt-exploding biker. Flying down the street, the smoke and flames emitted from his rear end. You're a feat if you don't have a big machine. The focus of all meaning and momentum as it alters space and time. And leaning on a kickstand, it is posing for a photo op. Velocity is violent. The tension doesn't stop. Is it my fault for living on a busy avenue? I bolted a machine gun to the fire escape. I knew it's wrong, and yet I had been interrupted by a rude disturbance many times. I found it redefined the mood in my neurotic isolation, a phenomenon resulting in an armed response. You wonder what I'm on. You won't find anything because I'm pure as wind-driven bullets, and it tests my reflex when I hear a bike. To pull it off, I go to the window, pull the trigger. I'm not kidding. And a second later, there's a lot of metal skidding down the road, according to the cycle of life and death. And someday we'll be taking back the streets. Don't hold your breath. This is about 9/11. I actually originally wrote this to the tune of Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, so which means it has a lot of verses. It's called False Flag, Operation Blues. I woke up in the morning with the buildings falling down. They seemed to be exploding. There were people leaving town. It looked like science fiction. I was in a state of shock. The heat wave went 1,000 miles and melted down my clock. I'm losing track of time, although I know I'm not in heaven. Now I'm stuck with this, and every day is 9/11. I thought that we were supposed to have a pretty good Air Force. How come they took the day off? It was knocking us off course. The planes are running into walls and people start to fall. I'm jumping to conclusions. Did our leaders hear the call of power in the empire? As long as they are paid, a cloud of ashes moving and the truth begins to fade. We're living in a Disneyland of middle-class denial. There's been a coup d'etat and we are still supposed to smile. I wrote a letter to the paper, they're not going near it. 9/11 is taboo, they don't want to hear it. See no evil when your head is sticking in the sand. Some people losing everything they still don't understand. The businessmen are turning chaos into lots of cash. You see it in New Orleans when Katrina made a splash. The contracts for construction, they're worth a lot of bucks to Bush's friends, although he couldn't come up with some trucks to help out when they needed it. Is he disaster prone? It makes you wish the neocons were leaving us alone. A false flag operation. They're using a disguise and spreading terror on their own, but some are getting wise. Half of New York City knows a fascist when they see one. Now they're called Republicans. I wouldn't want to be one. Look how often terror is conducted by the state. You look at Bush and understand how character is fate. It wasn't a surprise attack. It wasn't a surprise when many had a warning and the rest of us had lies. And airline stocks are being sold the day before the crash. It makes you wonder when 1,000 people turn to ash, if people are expendable. They're treating us like cattle, with the damages increasing their collateral. Anomalies of 9/11 are of some concern. A high-rise never brought down by a fire, it can burn, and yet the steel is holding up. I'm looking with suspicion at the towers coming down. It's called a demolition. A cloud exploding outwards with a lot of broken steel. And now you know what life is like beneath an iron heel. There was another building which went down 8 hours later. They call it number 7. It was like an elevator. Although nothing hit it, so I don't know why it fell. The government cannot explain. I hope they burn in hell. When people are in shock, they will believe what they are told. The neocons are in control and they are pretty cold. The military on maneuver is called an exercise. But it was on the same day when we lost 3,000 lives. With Cheney, the coordinator, pulling all the strings, they manufacture an event. The television sings about a big amorphous concept, calling it the terror. Bigger than the Soviets. A lot of trial and error. Nothing in the story fits. Some hijackers are alive. The others couldn't fly a plane. The government took a dive. It let us down. The country is becoming so unreal, and all of it in service of the state of Israel. Onward Christian soldiers, they're dying for a God who listens to the moneylenders. I don't like the odds. Thank you.